Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and we have a War Z Roundtable here. We have some special guests. We have Jonny Truant, who is the senior producer for War Z. We have Kook, and we have a bunch of other players and community members in the roundtable. So here we go. Agent North, what is our subject tonight?
All right, guys. Tonight we're going to be discussing communication. And that being said, it would be communication factors in all ends, for forums, in-game, regarding maybe updates, regarding communication from devs and community. We do have some new faces with us tonight. We have Camel Treber, we have Sly Jesse, Scowl, Ron Stoppable, Half Centaur, and then we also have Kook with us. Being said, we'll kick it off at the top of the event. Right, so communication in a way. Communication there being there, not existing. In a sense, I'm bringing up some forum information myself. We are lacking in some forms of communication between the developers and the community. And I'll say this in forms of bring up maybe patch notes maybe. In a sense that, we do get some patch notes in which are lacking a good chunk of information and changes made. We have discussed this a little bit last week in a sense of the spread change, and then this week there was a jump change added, which is a little detrimental to the game when nothing's notified to us in these changes. That being said, these changes could be made notice to us through both these patch notes, or even in ways they could be added. They could be known in-game through possible in-game patch notes. That being said, I'll push on to the next person who would like to vote in on this.
I wanted to jump in real quick and sort of talk about the ability to do in-game patch notes. I'll link a picture.
Okay.
Before we move on to the next question, this is my first roundtable, so I don't really know the format. But would it be good to just address everything that you just talked about?
You can fully feel free to address that. Everybody's going to be throwing out feedback. Everybody's going to be throwing out their end on what they think and believe, and they will be throwing ideas on how things could be successfully changed.
Yeah, that's great. So first, Jonny and I have sat down and discussed those issues of the patch notes not being completely thorough at times and lacking in information, sometimes a bit vague. And moving forward, that's something that's top of our priority list, is to get you guys as much information and as accurate of information as possible. And you'll see that moving forward. The jump issue that you brought up, that wasn't intended, actually. It's a bug, and it's not actually a bug with jump. Jump hasn't changed at all. It's something else. The jump height didn't change. Something with the functionality changed, and we haven't quite figured it out yet, but we are looking into it.
That's really good to hear.
And again, we've implemented a system of redundancy, basically more checks and balances that both Kook and myself will be doing prior to the patch notes going out, so we can essentially check all recent check-ins, make sure that nothing's slipped in that we're unaware of, any bugs. We review QA reports, things that we do in our day-to-day activities. We will now be instituting as sort of an added check before the patch notes go live. So we're going to do our very best to make sure that you have the most accurate and up-to-date information.
And more info on that, on what I was previously talking about with the jump. The window bug, where you can't actually go through some of the windows, that's directly related to that, and we're looking at it. All of those bugs happened with a fix that we put in to stop people from exploiting the ceiling. Before they were able to put their heads through ceilings, they would see through geometry, and they would have an unfair advantage of seeing players and players not seeing them. So those were just a negative effect of that. And we're hoping to have all of that fixed for the next patch.
Okay, just to finish what I was kind of hinting on, as with the picture that I posted, it might be a good idea if it's possible to be implemented where the players in game are able to interact with some sort of bulletin board that is on the doors to the safe zones for the people that aren't active on the forums. They could receive in-game patch notes or even in-game news as to some of the things that's going on.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I like it. I'm looking at it right here, but something like a bulletin board is actually really helpful. I'm playing Path of Exile right now, and they have a system just like that in it, and it's actually really cool. And I use it to get an effect of that. And
yeah, it sounds good.
Hoping to have all that
Okay,
fixed for
just
you
to
next
finish
time.
what I was
If we could,
kind of
back
hinting
to,
on. Okay,
the
just to
patch
finish
notes,
what I was
picture that I
posted, kind of hinting on.
you guys
It
did
might
mention
be
how things would be
with the
implemented.
picture that idea,
Um,
if it's possible to be
Can I
implemented, where
bring up into a question
the
of something
players
that
in
was
game are
missing
able to
after our last
interact with
discussion? We were brought it
some
up
sort of
to knowing that
bulletin
we were going to be
board that
receiving developer diaries and patch notes afterwards. You know, we still have yet to receive them. Any of you guys would feel like to chime in on that?
On what? The issue of not receiving patch notes today or dev diaries?
Patch notes or dev diaries after the last event last Friday.
The patch notes will always come out usually the Friday before a patch. I do not believe we are doing a major patch on Tuesday. If we are, we'll get the patch notes out as soon as we can. When it comes to dev diaries, as soon as we have something tangible, we'll show. A lot of times when work is spent on the back end, it's just text. So in this case, this is something we've been discussing in terms of doing videos to sort of like highlight work for the week and look at what we've been doing, what we're looking towards. We get a lot of issues where if we talk about a feature that's not necessarily coming out in the next patch, people assume that it is. And that's something communication-wise that we need to work on.
And to the patch notes, we're not actually doing a normal patch this Tuesday, so there's no patch notes for that. All we've been doing lately are doing like mini patches and hot fixes, just to get some of these issues that are just really annoying out of the way.
And the reason we're doing those is because we're prepping for strongholds. You know, it's a lot of back end in terms of servers.
Yeah. And I know there's still a lot of annoying things out there, but we're still, we're working towards getting all of those fixed. It just takes a little time.
You have a lot of guys in here that are really quiet. Any of you guys have anything to bring up about patch notes? Any of the guys in the group that are on the dev team?
Yeah, I would actually like to say something. What I've been wondering, like in the past few patch notes, we always had sentences like rebalance the loot spawns on the map. That is pretty much not a lot of information for you to work on. Like if you're a player and you have to search the whole map to see where good loot now spawns, it's kind of cumbersome when that changes. Like
well, here's the thing, though.
Where's
the fun in scavenging if we tell you where to look for stuff? I mean, the point of the loot system is that, we're encouraging exploration and scavenging. If there's just a bulleted list telling you where things spawn, that takes all the mystery out of it.
That's not what I meant. Sorry. So I don't want to know like where stuff spawns, but it would be cool to know what kind of stuff spawns. So like
I think what he's referring to is sort of the mentality of what you're trying to achieve with the changes, and such as, before you guys even started any of the changes, you had this, items were pretty much everywhere, and then you guys have a patch that comes out and says, we've basically changed loot and we've quote unquote balanced it, and it's sort of unclear about what exactly we can expect from that. So then when people go into the game and they go to the normal places, they don't see items and where they're used to seeing items, and they automatically go, oh, well, there's no items now spawning, so I don't like what's going on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, but even at that, that's like intended because of the fact that if we were to say this is happening and that is happening, there's this expectation of those things happening rather than we set you guys free on the world. You go out there and you find the items, and then things are happening in ways that you might not agree with. You go to the forums, you voice your opinions, we see it, and if it matches up with what we've done, then we know that perhaps it wasn't, we'll have to do another round of balancing. But if all the posts are saying stuff that's totally not what we intended, then there might be something that's broken and whatnot.
I think
Right.
a problem what a lot of people have is harking or alluding to what was said earlier, in the sense that the patch notes or what's given within those patch notes aren't too sort of foregoing on disclosure of information. Turning around and saying we've rebalanced stuff. Okay, that's fine, because you're not saying something that you haven't done. You've rebalanced it in a certain way, and then certainly. And I do agree to an extent with what's said about not exactly divulging every single thing about the balancing, because it is a case of letting people out there, and it is a case of letting people experience the new things and seeing for themselves. You are going to have at the end of it people turn around and go, well, this doesn't go there, this doesn't go there, therefore it's broken, and they might not know any better. Sometimes they might be right. It differs on each and every event. But coming to what you said about what we put on the forums, or what the rest of the community put on the forums, is looked at and is acted upon, or if it's something that's not in line with what you guys over at Hammer Point have invested your time in, then you obviously won't operate on that, because like you say, it isn't in line with it. But say for instance, and what has happened to, or what the community feels is what's happened quite a few times, is that we've had a patch note or come out one day and we've rebalanced loot spawns. The majority or a vast amount of the community has been in uproar about it and turned around and said, we hate this, this is gay, this is this, flaming, trolling, constructive, non-constructive, whatever it may be. And then the next week we've had another patch note come out going, we've rebalanced the loot spawn. And it's like, okay, well, we don't really know how to take that. We want to take it in the sense that you've listened to what we've said and you've rebalanced it as a result of that. But we don't know. You told us you'd rebalanced it and we didn't like it. So how do we know when you say the next week we've rebalanced it, that it's back to a level that we feel is compliant with how we want the gameplay to be? We don't know that. If you're going to act on what the community's turned around and said in mass numbers, then rather than coming out the next week and going, we've rebalanced the loot thread, or we've listened to some people and rebalanced it, maybe go a little bit more in depth as to how that's been balanced, or what exactly it was said by the community, what certain points were brought up. Not going too much into detail, not giving away, vital bits of information that may be detrimental to furthering the gameplay, but being a bit more in depth as to what we said that prompted you to act on it. I think that's what some people don't really like about it. Or certainly, something I don't like.
I totally understand what you're saying, and that's a fair point. I mean, we listen, we make tweaks, we make adjustments that reflect the response from the community. But what you're saying is that when you see the patch notes, the information we were giving you there doesn't inform the community of that. It just says we've changed it, which is a bit too vague and oblique.
Yeah, I mean, because we appreciate the fact, that you do listen, to what is said. And we do appreciate the fact you do act upon that and change it as a result of what the community feels. It's just sometimes we would like to know in a little bit more detail, how it's been changed as a result of what we said. So if it's a case of a certain thing was upped, or something was lowered, or spawn points were put somewhere else. If people are in uproar about that, and then the next week it comes out and we've rebalanced it. Rather than just say that, turn around and go, we listened to your comments regarding Y, we listened to your comments regarding X. These have now been replaced with, not divulging too much sensitive information that might be detrimental for you guys in the long run, but just sort of keeping us in the loop a little bit more than what is being given so far.
I think,
Absolutely, yeah, it's a valid point.
I think jump is a good example. Until Kook said it about 5 minutes ago, I didn't read on the forums that it was a bug. I don't think that we were updated on that. I just thought it was something that was in the patch notes that you guys meant to be there. So when something is a bug right after patch notes, if there was some way that one of you could make some type of memo or a notation, that would help too. I don't necessarily want to know where you're going to put everything. It's just, I feel lost sometimes. I don't know what's a bug and what really was intended to be in that last patch.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
I do agree with, how I can see how that would make you feel in this instance. For the most part, we do list major bugs that are having a very negative effect on players' gameplay. Like, I'm just going to go extreme. A crash. We're going to let you guys know that that's happening, but there are things that are less restrictive on the player's gameplay. Like, jump. You could still jump. You could still get to most areas. There's some things that were affected by it. So the communication on that was done within a few posts. But like I said, I understand how it can make you feel. I don't want to have every single bug updated and listed in the patch notes after. But I'll sit down with the team, sit down with design, sit down with the leads, and we'll discuss how we could what bugs would be better to be put in there. Like maybe we should have put the window bug, the jump bug, etc.
Some of the bugs don't really affect us, and some of them seem pretty major to your gameplay.
One of the things that comes to mind with that, and it might even help cleaning up some of the forum under the bug section, is every time that a patch is done and patch notes are posted, maybe open a forum, a thread up for bugs from that patch. So you have patch notes March 15th, and then you have a thread active bug report March 15th, and everybody can sort of keep update from those patch notes from that patch, and it can sort of differentiate the issues.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I think we'll try it out. My only concern on that is having bugs put in there that are not actually bugs from that patch. But we'll test it out. We'll see what happens. Good idea.
Yeah, I like it.
Maybe even the players could also post in that same thread bugs that they've noticed in the game, and if it's not a bug, then they could be corrected by somebody with the authority.
Well, we certainly have some very active, albeit lurking, forum users who have access to our bug database, and they are constantly checking reported bugs versus what's in our database already, and they could certainly take a bigger role there. I think I'd like to see that. Yeah,
that's another thing I was going to bring up is that just because there's no activity on some of the bugs, there is actually activity, and there's not a lot. Just because there's not a lot of activity in there doesn't mean it's not being looked at. We actually have a team of guys that go in there and, like Jonny said, they're lurking. If they were to reply to every single thing that they looked at, it wouldn't be the best use of resources for them. They should be in there getting the bugs, recording the bugs, and having those issues escalated and then getting fixed.
That being said, I think we can certainly improve the communication there as well, just so people know that there's activity.
Alrighty. On to the next part. We did go through certain bugs and whatnot.
I'll tell you what, just before you move on,
right?
If we're gonna get completely off the topic of communication, or if we're just gonna go to a different sort of avenue in it.
I would like to keep it communication, but yeah.
One thing that that's all right then, because this is about communication. One thing that I would like is getting away from communication about patch notes and getting away from communication about the technical issues of the game. Is in general, there have been a few things raised up from members of the community, both on the forum, on our roundtable thread, and by individuals here in the room. Regarding communication and general publicity and marketing, away from patch notes, those including things like the Origin PC, who got to go out to Hammer Point about whatever happened with the Facebook Super Zombie thing. There are things, there are there are different things and different levels within the communication that people feel that is lacking, not just the patch notes. It's, you know, there are little tidbits given at some points, and there are little things given to keep everyone's, you know, to keep everyone's morale high, as it were, and to, you know, to sort of garner interest in the game and in, you know, in the whole sort of franchise of War Z. And then we don't really hear anything. You know, it all goes quiet. You know, I don't know whatever happened to the people that were being taken out to Hammer Point. I don't know who won the Origin PC. I don't know who was mentioned on Facebook about the whole zombie thing. It was never mentioned, or if it was, and I like to think of myself as somebody who absolutely explores every single avenue of media outlet for any game that I like to play. And I've certainly not come across any information divulged about those three things in particular, but it's other things as well. You know, communication with people outside of the forum. You know, I mean, I don't know what, you know, maybe things. All right, I mean, I know that things like Gamer Platoon have been involved, you know, with their clans and things like that. I know that there's you know, there may be some inclination. Things have been worded around about mods, you know, being more prevalent on social media sites and social networking sites. But ultimately, I don't see much in terms of continued community engagement outside of the forum. And if it's a problem, if it's being raised up to an issue like it is at the moment, where communication is a problem inside the forum, I'd like to know, or I'd like to have some inclination from you guys, be it Kook or Johnny or, you know, anyone else, as to what you guys plan on furthering communication outside of the primary, you know, speaking zone of the game, which would be the forum, because I don't really see any, and it's a shame, because I would like to know about I would like to know about other things. You know, certainly, I mean,
you'd like to go to California, I said.
Oh no, not really. It's too busy for me.
I know you
But
won't.
I'd certainly like to know about the other people that went there. You know, but it'd be nice. I mean, just as an incentive thing. You know, even, you know, not everybody's going to go to California. It's going to be you know, a small amount of people. Good luck to them. But it'd be nice to know as a community who, you know, who got the chance. And, you know, it'd be nice to know that Hammer Point have fully seen that through and have fully, you know, committed to, you know, going through with that project, engaging those people, and then turning around and going, yeah, we had this. I mean, I can only think, and I've worked in PR, and I can only, you know, envisage a positive result for, you know, a vlog or even a photo appearing on a forum or other social media outlets of 10 normal, everyday people who have got the chance to go to a game development studio, meet people who design a game that they like, and, you know, and had a good day.
So you want to see Hammer Point in the news type thing?
Yeah, hey,
It's
I
not necessarily.
If I can chime in on this real quick. Hey, guy, if I can chime in on this real quick, definitely hear what you're saying. And one of the things was having people come out that, you know, doing it on like a one-by-one basis. So we didn't want to have 10 people that were coming into the studio all at the same time. First of all, the studio isn't really big enough to accommodate that kind of influx of people. And we wanted to get genuine kind of just real grassroots opinion and just people's uninfluenced opinion to come in, talk with different people on the team. So it's been a slow process, granted, but it's a process that is taking place. And also the one thing that we have to respect is not everybody, and we're definitely not at 10, but there have been a couple people that have come out that have been, one guy who was flown out, one guy who was local. And the process is such that if they don't want to have their name out there in the spotlight and they don't want to be public, which so far they haven't, and maybe we'll have somebody that is going to want to be open about it, and which we're hoping, but we have to respect that. So, you know, just addressing that one point. Yeah. And then, you know, as far as Origin PC and the giveaway with Origin PC, I mean, Origin PC, that was the giveaway that we've done so far, and I think we've done one or two, but one of them was through PC Gamer. And I think there was another one that was through Gamers Platoon. I'm not sure, but the one through PC Gamer, I mean, obviously, I don't know what you guys think about PC Gamer, but they're a pretty legit crew, and that goes through the whole legal department. And I think they actually announced their winner. So, I mean, it's all, you can verify everything. It's not like anybody is, you know, nothing's.
But like if I may here, and that's the whole point of communication. I think that's what Momo was trying to say here. It's fair enough you're doing it. The point is, like, at first, I'm a bit surprised that you've got guys that are being invited and they want to they don't want to have it public, because the way I saw it when Sergey actually announced it on the 27th of December, that was kind of a marketing turn, and that's actually a good thing. Now the problem I saw from the get-go is there's no criteria that was announced, which led to an outrage in the community because everybody started to think that you just wanted to have streamers coming in. And I'm not saying that it's actually the point, but that was the opinion for a while, at least at the beginning of January. And then what Momo is saying, I think, is there's no follow up on it, and I do think it actually detrimental to you guys in the sense that this is something you could actually jump on. You could have a big and especially in the forums, because there's a lot of rage going on and down, where you can actually announce that those are the criterias and those are the guys. And it doesn't take it's just having a post every week or couple of weeks, a kind of follow up, so the people can actually see that it's legit, not being questioning your intention and stuff like that. And you guys actually get a positive feedback out of it because you are doing it. And you can actually announce that people are already coming and they didn't want to go public.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a very good point. And I think sometimes what happens, and I mean, just so you know, so there's no big mystery here, is I'm working with these guys in terms of just I'm on the PR side, but I'm working with the press guys because that's what I've been doing. I've been working in the gaming industry for a really long time. I won't say how long, but but you're very right. There's a very big difference between relating to the press guys and relating to people within the community, and there's also and that also ends up becoming very difficult because, especially when it's a smaller team, and I've been firsthand witness to it. It's sometimes I think you're under the impression that things are obvious, but it's not obvious because you guys who are part of the community are not there witnessing everything that's going on behind the scenes. And so it has to be somehow explained, and somehow it has to be presented, or at least made a little bit more transparent. So you're absolutely right. If you don't sit and you don't explain what are the criteria for having somebody come into the studio to provide their opinion or provide their evaluation, maybe that should be made a little bit more transparent, or that criteria should be made a little bit more public, because it's not all about just getting publicity from it. It's all about getting actual valuable feedback. And the criteria, in a nutshell, is what's your experience with PC games? What's your experience with this genre? How many hours do you spend playing the game? How much, there's a lot of questions that have gone into and there have been tons of people that have responded. I mean, it's been crazy, the response after that statement was made, I think it was back in January, about, having people come in to kind of independently evaluate and provide their input for the game. The response was insane. So just getting through that response has been a task in and of itself. And then being able to actually kind of filter through and find people that would provide productive and meaningful kind of feedback that would actually benefit the game, benefit the community. That's a whole other thing, because is it self-serving, or is it just, is it somebody that's going to come in and just wants to get a trip to LA for some reason? There's a whole different myriad of reasons that people want to be involved in that. But I think you're absolutely right. Being more transparent and having that criteria and having that explained from the get-go is a smart idea and definitely a better idea.
I mean, if we go back to what was said on the patches or on communications, I would say it's Jeep was putting up this poll about feedback about communication. I think that the general impression here, I mean, there were some mishaps. I'm pretty damn sure that you guys know about it. And a lot of people are still staying in that loop, whatever misinterpretation they have about the intentions of the dev teams or the company or whatever. And I do think that it actually takes very little effort from your side to actually change that. And that's going back to the patch when, like Momo was mentioning, more details. And I do think you don't have. I don't think you guys have to actually tell us what's going on, like at the back office. I mean that's not going there.
Yeah.
Because obviously you do. You're under contract. And you're not gonna put public everything you're doing. That's not the case. But at least having a feedback, or at least showing that you're actually listening to your player base, because that's what I think that most people. I'm not sure that what is valid out of it, because Cook just mentioned that you were actually reading the feedbacks from the forums, but that's not what we think, and this is where the problem is. I think that's how.
Let me ask a question. Can I ask you all a question? Because obviously, this is a group that is a small and vocal group that's passionate enough about this game that you're here at whatever time zone you're in, right now to be discussing this, right? I'm assuming I'm correct. So what is it that's keeping what is it that you like? For some reason you're continuing, you like this game and you play this game and you enjoy it and you're passionate enough about it that you're taking your personal time on either Friday or Saturday or whatever it is in your time zone to be discussing it with us. So what is it? What keeps you coming back, and what is it that you love about the game?
I love the full PV. Sorry.
No, I'm just there are loads of different aspects of a game that you can like. I don't want people to get caught up, be it you guys at Hammerpoint, be it the people in the Twitch chat, be it the people on the forum, who think that this roundtable is set up purely to be a discussion of negativity that purely centres on business, ethical or unethical, technical, community engagement issues. That's not what it is. We all have issues with the game. We all have various aspects that we like. Let's get down to the end. At the end of the day, right? The vast majority, in my opinion, and from what I've seen so far, enjoy the game because you entered into a market, or you entered into a genre that had been made popular by other people before. Right, now the game doesn't try and emulate that, because there are vast differences. Nobody in this thread or this roundtable will turn around and say this game is a mock of DayZ, because it isn't. Right, there are too many vast differences. And if you've been in the industry, or you even bother to look at it in any detail, you'd appreciate that. But I think that the fact you have Z in the name, the fact that it includes zombies, the fact that it has PvP and it's marketed as a survival MMO means that the game is attractive to a wide range of people who have explored a particular game beforehand, or who have heard of certain things that have broken into the genre that have made it popular.
I can say that's not unique to DayZ. That the whole Z.
I'm not saying it's unique to DayZ.
Even before that.
I'm not saying it's unique. I'm not saying that. I know I didn't. Like I said, nobody here draws a comparison. And in fact, if we hark to that, Sergey did say in his letter the other day that they did jump on that comparison because they wanted to take care of. They wanted to take advantage of that market. Let's not get away from simple business. It's what's clever. It's what's right. It's what makes money. But that's not what we're here for. But the aspects of the game, getting away from the technical difficulties, are you have immersion. If we get to what was said to us upon Alpha Beta Foundation Steam release, we have we should or could have the ability for a very immersive friend structure, a wide variety of different aspects of the game that we can all enjoy, be it private, PvE, PvP, Stronghold. There are loads of different aspects that draw us all here. It's not just one different thing. But at the same time, there are a lot of negatives that detract from it, and that's why we're all here. We're all here on a Friday night because we enjoy the game, but we're all here on a Friday night because there are things that we want to see get better, that have taken too long to get better. That's my outlook on it anyway. So I'm not trying to draw comparisons with a different game before someone says that I am, because I'm not.
Mama, hold up. Marky, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that War Z has something very special about it, and it has a feeling of risk. It has survival. It has dependent on oneself or dependent on groups, and it has scarcity. All of these things, which for anybody who has ever thought about, and in popular culture right now, zombies are very, very popular. And we all imagine, what would happen if we had a zombie apocalypse? Well, this is as close as we can get to that without, going overboard. And the game is really, really good. It has some issues to get over. It's almost like growing pains. That the game is growing out of control of the development of the game, and it's because it's so popular. But its success is what is actually hurting it at the same time. And if you guys can keep working on that, which I do see positive changes all the time. There's all these there's all these improvements going in which make our lives easier. Like, I was so glad to have groups, and a year from now, the game could not just be good, it could be great. And, it's all about you guys having the right people on the bus to take us there. And so I think that you guys are on the right track. And as far as communication goes, the whole deal of forum communication and stuff, here's the problem. And I see this very clearly, is that 20% of the players are going to be complaining no matter what, and the problem is that they make 80% of the voice, and because everybody else who's content isn't saying anything. And I don't know how to get around that, especially since people got an emotional response to the game at the beginning, and it's not a logical response, because the game itself is really good. There's just a lot of people out there that have these really skewed opinions based off of things that were said early on, or perceptions that the game was a copy of another game and such, which it's not. I've played both now, and I can definitely say it's not a copy. So anyway, that's all.
Hey, can I chime in real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
First off, I want to say, I mean, you brought it up earlier. You want to have the right people on the bus. The simple fact that you guys have gone out of your way to do this is huge to us, and we want to make sure that we encourage this sort of conversation and discussion as often as we can. So, back to the topic of communication. Pardon me for saying, I think we got a little bit off topic.
Hey, G.
What can we do to improve our communication? I would like to hear your solutions, suggestions.
I would actually like to ask a question about communication on what you guys know on your end so far, because all I see right now primarily is in the forums. I actually happen to be somebody who's not a forum reader, and so I don't know. Have you guys done any study to see where your audience is?
It's different all over the place, actually, depending. Demographics change from Facebook, Twitter, and the forums, and in-game.
In-game, yeah. I do think, like, communication-wise, if you want to improve, I think we already said it. Alex said it, like, through transparency, but first you need to use more medias, and I do think you do not exploit the in-game enough. Skull actually showed, like, and Cook was agreeing on that. But you need to have more polls maybe on in-game, because, I mean, to be honest with you right now, I think that was a question what we're enjoying about the game. I actually love the game. I also love the forums because I can have fun there. But the reality for a while I was 2 months like completely, and Marky is completely off the forums. So there is an audience, the in-game audience you're actually not reaching right now. And I do think you would have much more positive feedback or responses than what you can see in the forums right now.
I do agree that it would be good to have the people doing surveys, because like 1 or 2 examples there were surveys that did ask, like, if people wanted them to be adding in the instant spawn thing again for real cash, and a lot of players did a survey, and most of them chose that they didn't want to have that feature added in, and then the feature was added in anyway. So it was kind of like, in that situation, they were kind of ignored.
Wait, who told you
Also,
that?
No, wait.
You don't know what
I know
was the
exactly. I know
response.
exactly.
Like, that's the thing.
Hey guys, I know exactly what's going on here. He's talking about a user-posted forum. Poll.
user.
Now you have to remember, like Marquis Dragon was saying, 20% of the player base. It's actually lower than that. 20% of player base, 80% of the voice. These guys, you guys are very vocal on the forums, and you have very your opinions are they're very sharp and they're to the point. The general public, when we put out SurveyMonkey surveys, when we compare the results from the SurveyMonkey and then from the forums, they are vastly different. So most of the time, if we do a poll and it's on SurveyMonkey, that's reaching a much broader audience, and we're going to weigh the results of both of those together and then act on that.
Yeah,
Hey guys,
but
real quick, hold on.
That's the whole point. Like, why don't you come back to the community through the forums, like showing what were the results and like that actually led to your decision. I'm saying that because, like, sometimes, I mean, like, as a player,
I'm pretty sure we did one time.
On that time,
Sergey posted, and we got flamed pretty hard, saying that we were lying and this and that. So at that point, when we show you guys what's going on, and then nobody believes us, it's like, okay, well then that was a failed attempt at letting them know. So there's just really no reason to keep doing that if it's just not serving a purpose.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people saw that particular thread as a case of, and I do appreciate that you have to weigh up the votes that come from a very large population in comparison to ones that come from the forum. But when you posted that on the forum, and if it's the one I'm thinking of, I don't want to mention it, but if it's the one I'm thinking of, that was seen by a lot of people on that forum as just a case of, well, you lot are wrong because look at the amount of people that love it. That's what a lot of people saw it was. It was a case of, look how many people think like this. And it was like, well, yeah, but we don't. So it's all very well going, look how many people think like that. But at the end of the day, you still have a population, one that's pivotal to the upkeep, in the sense that it's the official forum of the game, where a lot of the people would turn around going, well, we don't think that, so we don't care if that amount of people like that, because we don't. So a lot of people, although, keeping it from two perspectives, I can very much appreciate the reasoning behind why it was put on there, and I can see completely, the logic behind it. But at the same point, I have to turn around as a gamer and as somebody who didn't share the feeling of that set number. It just felt like a case of, well, poking us in the eyes, going, doesn't really matter what you think because they all thought different. And we're going to put it on the place where you all thought differently to show you that you're wrong. That's what it felt like, and that's why a lot of people were flaming and a lot of people were trolling. It would have been better to put that statistic onto a place where the vast amount of those people thought that, rather than, and what should have happened was, okay, we did the SurveyMonkey and we did this one. This is what came out of that. This is what came out of this. It's evident that there are two vastly different opinions, or that there is a divide between the two different, demographics. So for that purpose, we would like to hear what you think is wrong with the game, or what you have a grievance with, that points towards you not having the same amount of favour towards the game as this amount of people. Because we appreciate that they are casual gamers, we appreciate that you like more immersion within our dealings within the game, within what we do in our communication with you. And that's why it was a case of, that's false, that's a lie, we hate you, flame, swear words, and all this lot. That's why it happened.
Why not redirect the surveys that are being done during the login of the game, however you want to illustrate that, to a poll on the forums. So that way there isn't the disconnect between these two alleged different faces of the community. Because if...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeep.
No, I was just saying, because, if the case being that, like, the poll that was ran about the the revive, and I believe it was up in the 80s or something like that. People saying they didn't want the feature, but then Kook or Johnny, I'm not sorry, I don't know which one of you guys were saying it, said that your Survey Monkey reflects differently. Well, why not just redirect all the surveys to a poll, an official poll you guys set up on the forums?
If I could just comment on this, Jeep and Momo, you both have good points. I can answer it pretty quickly and succinctly. We will be more transparent about the results from the polls on SurveyMonkey and versus the forums. In terms of weighting opinions versus the forums and casual users, that's something that we ourselves do that is not readily visible to you. We understand that forum users are, for lack of a better word, by the way, this is Jonny Truant talking.
No worries. Thanks, Johnny.
Are, for lack of a better word, are more hardcore player base. As a result, your opinion is weighted differently because of game experience, knowledge, involvement. Generally speaking, you know more about the game, more about what's happened in the past, what our plans are for the future. Whereas the casual player is just, they're hopping in for a couple hours a day. They get the experience that's presented to them. So even going back to the patch notes showing up in game, that's a great point. These people, because I myself, the games that I play on my free time, I don't really spend a lot of time on forums. I play the game for fun, and if something changes and I don't like it, that will affect me negatively. So I think, yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think as far as the whole communication issue goes, and I don't know how many people are going to agree with this, but I've been around since the middle of October, and I have seen patch notes make this game awesome, wonderful, day after day, week after week. They started getting a little less and less. But then there got to be a point where the patch notes didn't keep doing that. The patches were like it would fix one thing and break two more. And I understand in developing a game, things are going to happen like that. But once like bugs were fixed or something, we were still lacking something that you had already given to the game. And I don't think there would be such an issue with communication if you guys just kept on this steady stream of patching until this point was unbelievably wonderful. And I think you'd have a lot of people sticking around, not so many people would be leaving, and not as many people would be screaming at you to communicate, why are you changing everything? Why does it keep getting worse? So,
Sugarbug, I hate broken patches. Absolutely. I hate broken patches.
It's not just broken patches, though. I mean, I understand if we're not going to get as many backpacks or as much ammo, and that makes the game more of a survival feel. But so much changes so drastically, so often now, and I don't think that really if you communicated with us, exactly what was changing, I don't think that would help. I think we'd still feel the same. So it's the point of you giveth and you take it away. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's not in there with communication, though.
No, it's just that's part of what makes people scream about, why aren't you telling us you're going to do this?
Yeah, but I agree with Sugar.
I mean, if you tell us, I'm still not going to be happy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if I may, it's more live here. That's also a problem I see from Z, and that's something I hate. I mean, you've got wave of people complaining we have not enough patches or hotfixes or communication. Then you've got a second wave of people raging because we have too many of them. And that's, I mean, I would understand, like, and that's what Cook mentioned. And I wouldn't agree on that decision where you announce the results of the SurveyMonkey and then decided because of the flaming to stop it. I'd say you have to stick to these kind of things. You need to communicate wherever the results are and wherever actually like the feedback is going to be given on Forum Z. I mean, forget about it. Just communicate it because you still have legit players who come from time to time, like to the forums, regardless like how they voice or they don't voice out their opinion there, and they need to know that like because the problem is like the Fromzy is like quick fire in the savannah. I mean, it's completely retarded at some points. It goes to levels of like nonsense. I mean, like literally nonsense. And that's, I think, the problem you're having, because it's not only like it's detrimental to the job you're doing. It's detrimental to the players who actually love the game. When you see from time to time all the ratings you guys can have outside of the community, like on other medias or whatever, and like it encourages some players to actually leave the game because they start like believing all those ratings that can be positive or negative, and they just like take it as like the gospel out of the Bible. And I do think that's where you guys need to do an effort on that and communicate, regardless of what the flaming is going to be. It doesn't matter. I mean, seriously, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, one thing real quick I did want to bring up is that in my job position here, I actually manage multiple teams and I do multiple areas other than the community. As such, I've been a little less active on the forums. I'm still in there, but part of the new mods that we've brought on was to help with the communication, and it's not just new mods. This is an entire team that we deployed onto the forums that they were going to come in and they were going to pick up all the slack that there was, and they are going to help us with communication moving forward. So slowly they have started to take the reins, and little by little they'll do that more and more. And at some point, my role on the forums is going to be mostly dealing with the hackers and the false ban requests and all that stuff, because hacking and catching hackers is a huge priority for us. For weeks, myself and my team have been in game with awesome tools, just destroying these hackers, and we're going to keep doing so.
I need to say that I've actually seen an improvement in communication since the start of the game. I have seen Kook on other websites talking to people, providing us with the patch notes. I've seen more forum activity from mods, whether they've left now or new ones. I've seen more of them. And on the Facebook, I've seen more posts, more information compared to what it was at one stage when they first started. So I think well done on that you're actually improving on it.
Scout here. I wanted to make a suggestion. I like the Think Green art showcase contest that you're running. I think one of the issues that players are having is still the issue of some of the photos that are used in the promotion and on the main page. And I was thinking if it was possible, you could host a contest to where the players would submit their favorite in-game photos, and as those are selected, we could start to phase out some of the more questionable photos, or we could differentiate the difference between the photos that are of in-game content and ones that are not.
Very good idea.
There's actually a contest plan for screenshots and whatnot, but I could throw that idea of using them as really good ones, possibly using as more marketing material.
Cook, it's more alive here. I just have a straight question for you here. Coming back to what you mentioned about your tools and the job you're doing on the hackers. Sure. And coming back on communication again, I've got a link here if you want to look at it, because I'll be honest, I love to joke around. I think like a few people here do. And the big thing we're doing is about like that there's like evidence that the guy is like hacking. But
okay, so this question is about evidence and why we don't give it.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. So
like
that's.
before you cut it off, it's not that like you put it publicly, because that's not the case. But I do think that would be great. That would help you if you have logs to actually give the players that's being banned to tell him, like, out of the logs we discovered that this and that. And I don't think you're giving away anything from your tools here.
That's actually not true. See, we actually have multiple layers of anti-hack, and so Fair Fight is actually the very, very bottom layer. It doesn't. Our internal anti-hack actually catches a great deal more hackers than Fair Fight. Fair Fight is just one layer, and like I said, we have multiple layers. If there are very specific things that happen. There are very specific events that we track, and these events trigger things. If I were to tell somebody, let's say the coder that wrote the hack emailed saying he got busted for hacking, he demands to know why. If I give him any bit of information, he's going to use that against us, and he's going to find a way to go around it. So our policy here is to give no information to anybody, because we want to keep this game as secure as possible and as fun as possible. And hackers destroy that goal and that vision. So we're going to do anything possible to hide it.
No, I understand that, but I mean, like, the thing, I mean, like, nobody is gonna. How would I put that way? I mean, obviously, the hackers are destroying the game experience. On the other hand, I mean, some people. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I do think, like, most of the time, I mean, you nail on people that are actually hackers. On the other hand,
actually, here's one thing also, real quick. Let me interrupt you. Here is one thing. We are able, and we have told people when we ban them by visually observing them doing something. And this is new. This is relatively new. The anti-hack stuff, the auto bans, like stuff like that, that's the stuff that we're not going to talk about, because we don't want it to, we don't want them to use it against us, obviously. But we have GMs in game. They're invisible, and they're monitoring people all day long. If I see you no clip through a wall, hey, you're gonna get banned. And if that person emails now and he's like, dude, what happened? Why did I get banned? Well, you were observed by a GM no clipping through a wall. We are going to have that level of transparency.
Awesome.
I also want to second what Kook is saying about having to be silent about certain things. Doing any fraud myself with payment transactions, not with game hacking, but that is something that we've always had to have a policy of, is zero information back to the offender. Because they will use it against you every time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
So who has not had a chance to speak here? Let's speak up. There's a few of you that I think haven't said anything yet.
Half Centaur definitely hasn't said anything yet.
I said something earlier, but
sorry.
I've been meaning to say something about it, because you guys have talked a little bit about the sort of focus of the forums as being sort of the community link, and other people have also mentioned sort of the integration of using Twitter and Facebook more often, and I think those sort of avenues are I mean, you do need that, because, as you said, you have different demographics in those areas. But I think another thing that I find strange about it is, with the focus on the forums, is that when I look at the main page of WarZ, so if I go to the warz.com, most of the time when you see games these days in their main webpage, they sort of have the forums and the community. I mean, it's fine to have you have the separate forums, but it seems more of like a community site. And when you go to WarZ.com,
I know exactly what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. Sorry to cut you off, but it's actually it's a subject that that I'm pretty passionate about because I have worked in other games with CMS systems that were amazing. The last game that we had a CMS system, and it was pretty cool. And I was able to update and get all the information on there. It's something that I'm still pushing for, and I'd like to get going. I want the website to be the portal to the community, as it should be, and then the forums would be totally separate. So getting that going, it's on the list.
Yeah.
Guys, real quick. The point of this conversation was to discuss communication. It's been about an hour now. I just want to bring it back real quick. I've gotten some good feedback as to things that we can change or things that we can start doing. Did anyone else have a suggestion, things that I can do, things that Q can do, like on the forums, wherever you think would be helpful?
I do have a very good suggestion for future possible patch notes and developer diaries. One thing that's done a lot in these developer diaries, I have noticed have been very slim over the past couple. Some changes and some progresses that we would like to see, if possible, some video working or testing of some of these patches and these developer diaries. We would like to see, how are these being implemented, what's going to be changed, on a personal level, not just, some noted text. If that was possible, that's something that a couple of the people I have talked to have brought up as being an idea.
Okay.
Yep. I actually I've worked on a ton of capture footage. It just hasn't all come together yet. And once we get all the stronghold stuff squared away, we already have a ton of footage. My team and I, took a lot of time and got a lot of video, and we'll be putting that up.
I feel that one good idea would be surveys for all the major changes, especially ones that affect real money or the cash shop.
Okay. So, when a change is made, you would like to see feedback getting, or like a. Well, I'm hearing a weird echo here. I'm sorry.
If people like it, or if people don't like it, some changes can affect people's mindset about this game big time, especially regarding the cash shop.
Okay.
Yeah. I think an issue with that though is that you get a lot of people in the forums. You get sort of this gut reaction of people. They go to their. I mean, I'm sort of thinking in terms of loot changes, and that people see something and they don't like it, so their gut reaction is to just automatically assume within just an hour of experiencing the changes, and that they may give an opinion that's not necessarily as useful as it could be, I guess.
Well, look at Scout here. Look at PlanetSide 2. They've implemented this roadmap thing where they've given a list of possible features that they're working on, and they actually let the users on the forum decide which they think is the most important. And
yeah, actually, I saw them. I'd love their system there. I think we might be, because I'm working on the roadmap right now myself with Segor. And I think we might be adapting a similar system. We have some other ideas in terms of the direction we want to take it. But the idea there is to give a very clear picture, past, present, and future of the game, and then allow everyone to weigh in on their respective thoughts or opinions.
That sounds good.
What I would say is earlier on, Kook, I saw you post regarding an internal build or a dev build structure that you guys have for what I would imagine would be anywhere from basic to very immersive testing of things to be implemented to the wider community at a certain date. Surely it would be possible to allow maybe some kind of evidence of things being tested or certain implementations. And I don't want to get off topic here because this is communication. But one underlying factor that I can't get away from that people keep saying in the stream chat is about, what certain things that haven't been implemented into the game yet. We're not going to get into that. But would it not be good maybe in the future or something to think about if when the time arises that those things and, whenever that may be, that they actually become implemented into the game, when they're being tested in your internal build or closed structured environment, to maybe release some captures or some videos or, a vlog of some evidence that they were being tested, not just because it has, and I'll speak honestly and frankly here, it has got to the point where certain things that aren't in the game yet that people do want to see in the game at some point, be it sooner or later, it's kind of got past the point where the community will take, it's being worked on, it's being dealt with, we are looking into this, it is being tested. It kind of doesn't ring for us anymore. It doesn't ring for a lot of people. So if you guys do use an internal build or a dev structure to test and to utilize things on before making them available to the global hives, then wouldn't it be good if we could maybe see that being implemented?
Because I'm sorry, I thought I said that earlier that we were looking to do videos, but we are. It's actually on the schedule where we're discussing.
He's talking about something slightly different, though. I mean, it feels a little uncomfortable the way that it was brought towards the way that it was questioned, which was he would like to see evidence of things that we're fixing.
I see.
And
no. I don't want to see evidence of things you're fixing. Like the last, and I'll be completely honest here. I don't want to see if someone raises up a problem, right, or the community raises up a problem. I don't want to see evidence. I mean, of course, let's look at it from different perspectives. I would like to see evidence that you are fixing it. I don't want to see absolute in-depth information that is critical to you guys as a developer. Sensitive information that no other developer would give out either. I don't want to see that. What I want to see is if you have an internal build, and I'll make this completely clear, if you have an internal build, if you are going to implement something that was stated as being a feature in game and is not a feature in game, and I'm going to try and make it as clear as possible without naming them, just before they are ready, when you're in the final stages of testing on your internal build, do you not think it would be helpful to you and your image to release those to let the community know they are coming? Or would you prefer to ride the wave of however many people it is that keep asking and keep asking and keep asking, and then dish it out to people and then do it? Because I think from a business point of view and from a publicity point of view, it would be better if you had the weeks or days running up to you releasing that content, people were aware of it coming. That's just my feeling. So I don't want to see you fixing things and all the, the really in-depth stuff that, you guys really, could be detrimental to further development of the game. I want to see the stuff that's being worked on where it's at a point where it's okay for you to show us. It's okay for you to let that information out. And that's what I want to see. So I'm not asking for stuff that's going to damage you. I'm asking for stuff that's going to help make you look better. That's all.
Here's the thing. If I were to make a video for everything that you guys would like to know that is actively being worked on, that's all that I would do. And
I'll tell you that video is there's 10 times as much work behind every minute is at least 10 minutes of work at minimum. So yeah, I think I actually want to be, I'm the player. I'm not on the business side, but having had a lot of business experience with this, there is so much here that you guys are asking for that is, as players, that is really good stuff that you're asking for, but the problem is it can't be provided in a business sense. A lot of it, you'd be spending all of your time doing this outflow of communication instead of implementation. And it'll make the development cycles longer, and it'll make them more costly, and it'll just make less actions happen in the game. The more
many other companies are managing to do it right now. I call shenanigans on that. Many other companies and developers are managing to do it right now.
People.
Yes, we're not.
Minecraft also companies with a lot less than that. Companies with a lot less than that. Companies with a lot less.
Minecraft, for example, they release trailers that show the building and such of like in the maps, all of the features and.
Momo, if I understand what you're saying, Momo, are you talking maybe something like a little 5-10 minute video of the developer build where they have their little avatar dancing around a stronghold or something, so that way there's more of a.
I'm not. 5 or 10 minutes. 5 or 10 minutes of video is more like an hour to 2 hours of video, which takes a week to 2 weeks to actually get.
There's other problems with that too, guys, and I'm not trying to be, hammer points. Well, I just want to say that when you put out something that is pre-implementation to the public, and a last-minute change goes in, and the video is then wrong, you are going to have a huge outcry when they see some fantastical sword and it's gold, and when it comes out in the game, it's silver, and it's just going to be really dumb, and it really, I don't think it's good.
I actually it's more or less I actually
bottom of the video.
Learn from prior mistakes and disclaim it. Then it's not hard, is
do
it?
not represent the final product, or one of those messages at the bottom.
I actually do believe it happened last year, between last year and this year. That's the videos that was broadcasted what was it, in September? Well, shortly before we actually got into ours.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's actually very possible to really to give sort of. I mean, I guess the example right now is a couple of dev guys just running around in an example stronghold, because I mean, sort of an example I'm going to pull is from another game I played, another indie game I played, in which in one of the very first videos I ever watched for it was sort of this demonstration of this infestation growing thing that would be implemented, and that actual final version of that didn't actually get implemented into the game until, I mean, we're talking 2 to 3 years later. I mean, you had beta builds and alpha test builds way before that, and it was actually within, I think it might have even been released, but it was released about a week afterwards, in which that specific demonstration of the infestation feature was actually implemented it was implemented like a week or so after the game was actually released.
Okay, real quick here. There's 2 different things happening right now. Most of you guys are talking about features within a video, which we're doing and we're going to do. That's what I talked about earlier. I captured a ton of video for features, upcoming features, strongholds, stuff like that. What Momo was talking about was videos that display the bugs that are being fixed and whatnot. Like I said earlier, it would take a tremendous amount of resources to capture bugs and a lot of time, which is something that I'm opposed to. The features.
I didn't say that.
Great idea.
That's not what I said at all. That isn't what I said at all. I didn't say, I said it. In fact, I said the opposite. I said I don't want you to capture bugs. I don't want that. The last thing I want, right, is when I know that a game has problems, to be reminded of those problems. I already know they're there. We all already know that a game, especially this one, has its problems. What I'm saying is, and you've already admitted, you have a lot of footage regarding your Stronghold servers. Another member of your company has just told me that they can't make a video because they've been dancing around for too long and it takes too much manpower. So why is there a direct contradiction? What's the difference?
I don't know who told you what, but I captured the video.
Why don't we wrap this up?
Guys, we do need to wrap this up, Memo. I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but Johnny, if you could get your last word in.
What would you like me to comment on?
Feedback in general, everything you've received, and we can do a closing then.
Sure. I don't know if you guys have noticed in the forums recently, but I'm doing my best to sort of increase development interaction. To that end, I'm doing my best, and believe me, it's sort of a mountainous task to answer every private message, to get into threads, to really interact with the community, answer questions, be transparent. We are going to improve our patch notes. We're going to release a new roadmap. We're going to start doing at least monthly, depending on bandwidth. We'll see how much more we can do. Videos, dev blogs. Shoot, we could do a tour of the office. Introduce you to the team. Show you upcoming features, major bug fixes, how we test, how we develop. Any part of development that can help shed some light on how we work and our process. I think is important that we get it out to you, because I definitely agree with the point that Sugarbug brought up earlier, which is that our communication was good for a period of time. Patch notes were awesome, and we kind of dipped down for a little while around the new year. And recently, we've been starting to come back up. I just want to get to a point where there aren't any questions or doubts. So to that end, if anyone who's listening or anyone in this group has a point that they would like addressed or has maybe a suggestion, shoot me on the forums, PM me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
That's an idea I was about to say. If everybody, any more feedback that's left, please, formulate it. I could formulate an entire list of feedback of everything we've heard. More ideas, because we have a limited amount of time here, and I can put everything that people did want into a list and send it to you if that would be easier.
Sure, yeah.
All right. That being said, thank you everybody for attending tonight. Hopefully we did get more of a word out to everybody. We're heard a little more tonight. Marky, if you'd like to wrap up your end.
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending, and we will see you next time. Do subscribe, do follow, and we'll certainly have more War Z content to come. And thank you, Johnny and Kook and Alex, for attending. It's good to see you here. Actually, your being here is a huge step in the right direction. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I agree.
Thanks for having us, guys, and thanks for spending your personal time here to bring your questions, your comments, and concerns. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it means a lot to us.
Good to see you.